When a fake HOA cop thought he could intimidate my wife by pulling a gun on her in our own driveway, he had no idea he was making the worst mistake of his life. What he didn't realize, my wife wasn't just some random homeowner. She was the actual sheriff of our county, and she wasn't about to let an armed imposter threaten her family without swift legal consequences. The HOA in our neighborhood had always been over the top, but lately things had spiraled into something more dangerous. A group of so-called volunteer enforcers had started patrolling the streets, handing out fake citations and bullying residents into compliance. Most people were too intimidated or exhausted to fight back. But the day one of them pointed a weapon at my wife on our own property, everything changed. It started when one of these self-appointed officers pulled into our driveway, lights flashing. On his unmarked golf cart, wearing a makeshift badge and a poorly stitched uniform. My wife, dressed casually in workout gear, had just returned from her morning run. He barked accusations about a supposed violation over our trash cans being left out too long. She calmly asked for identification. Instead of responding like any legitimate officer would, he escalated, fast. Before she could even finish her sentence, he pulled a handgun from his belt and aimed it directly at her chest, shouting that she needed to comply immediately or face citizen's arrest. That's when his world collapsed. My wife didn't flinch. She didn't panic. She calmly stepped back, hand subtly reaching for her own badge tucked in her waistband, a real badge issued by the sheriff's department, and revealed it with steady authority. The look on his face when he saw it was pure terror. He had just threatened an on-duty sheriff with a firearm, an act carrying serious, life-altering consequences. Within minutes, she had him disarmed, detained, and face down on the asphalt, waiting for real backup to arrive. Turns out, not only was his weapon unregistered, but he had a long history of impersonating law enforcement and harassing civilians under the guise of HOA authority. The fallout was swift and brutal. The HOA faced a full-scale investigation, the fake officer was charged with multiple felonies, and the so-called enforcement patrol was permanently disbanded. Neighbors who had lived in fear for months finally had their voices heard, and the true abuse hiding behind the HOA's rules was exposed for everyone to see. When you mess with the wrong family, especially one backed by the full weight of real law enforcement, justice isn't just served, it's delivered with authority. For more unbelievable HOA encounters, make sure to subscribe to the HOA Stories and never miss a moment of justice served.